Hello, and welcome to the Jared Hurst podcast. This podcast is about understanding ourselves, others, and the tools that you can use in order to transform your life. This week, I wanted to talk with you about what we are supposed to do. Now, think about that phrase. How often in life are you making decisions to go do something? And the reason that you're doing it is because it's what you're supposed to do. Right? We are constantly changing our behavior and our thoughts and our actions and everything else in our life because it's what we're supposed to do. Think about your life and how much of your life is actually yours. It's really interesting. If you actually spend the time to sit down and think about your life, if you actually focus and review and question your actions, you start to realize that a lot of the things that you do are because society, your parents, your loved ones, whatever, have told you that this is how you're supposed to act and this is what you're supposed to do. And that's not necessarily bad. It's okay to do things that other people think you're supposed to do, but the question is it what you want to do? Because that's the problem. If it's not what you want to do, and you're only doing it because it's what you're supposed to do, then you are sacrificing your interests, your passions, and your life to be what somebody else wants you to be. It's really interesting that there was this podcast I heard. It was probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And in this podcast, they talked about following our wants instead of our needs. This idea that most of us, what we do is we say, well, I need this. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to have this. But then when it comes to wants, it's like, well, I don't need that. So I'm not allowed to go after that. And so we end up sacrificing all the things that we really want in life because we're doing what we're supposed to. You know, Tony Robbins has this really beautiful saying that says, we should this, we should that, we should this. And we end up shoulding all over ourselves. It's the same concept. It's just, do you know what you really want in life? I think if you don't put a concerted effort into actually going out and discovering what it is that you want, you won't be in touch with that. It's in this podcast that I listened to, they asked people to sit down and write out 100 things that they want in life. It could be material, it could be things that they want as far as experiences, etc. I tried doing it. I think I got to 15 and I couldn't think of anything else that I wanted because I just hadn't really put any thought into it. And I'd sacrificed the things that I wanted so much that I was just kind of running on autopilot. I was going after the things in life that I was told that I should want, that I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to wait this long after divorce before I get into dating. I'm supposed to date this kind of person. I'm supposed to feel this way about work, about my family, about my finances, about my etc., etc., etc. Every aspect of life, you have an expectation that comes from society, that comes from the beliefs that you have, that come from the identity that you've set for yourself. And the thing is your identity and your beliefs are all things that were programmed into you at a little kid age. And most of us have never bothered to go back and see if we're okay with that programming. Is this really how I want to feel? Is this really what I want to pursue? You know, I look at my life and I wanted to figure out what my passion was in life. I wanted to figure out what career could I go after that I was going to say, this is what I want. This lights me up inside and I'm going to be happy. Because I'd heard people talk about if you love what you do, then you'll never work a day in your life. And I said, well, that sounds really good. I'd like that. How can I get that in my life? So I went out and I was looking at my career choices and I said, you know what? I really like video games. I enjoy this quite a bit. So I'm going to be a computer programmer because obviously, if I like playing video games, making them will be just as much fun. Well, that's not how it works. So I went out, I did that. My counselor at college didn't even question anything, didn't even ask me a question about why I wanted it or what I thought I'd enjoy, nothing to actually help guide me in my journey. It was really just like, oh, that's what you want? Yes, this is where you're going. And then a number of years later, I was doing it and I just realized I didn't really enjoy it at all. So then I changed careers, went into communications, which I actually think I would have loved because I wanted to be a family therapist or a school counselor, etc. I think I'd do a really good job at that, if I may say so myself. I think I would have enjoyed it quite a bit. But ended up giving up on that because I had a family and I was trying to support them. So I ended up going into a degree of business and finance because I was good at it. It's like, oh yeah, if you're good at something, then this is what you should do. It's like, nah, just because you're good at things doesn't mean you're going to enjoy them. I hated my job. I graduated, got a really good paying job, was working, all that good jazz. And thank goodness they ended up laying off our entire department. And I had to reevaluate my life. So I started looking at it and I said, well, why do I enjoy certain things? Why did I like playing with video games? Was it the video games? It was the competition with my friends. It was the connection with my friends. It was the camaraderie. It was the learning. And so it took me all this time to realize, what do I want? Not what am I supposed to want, but what do I want? And I want to help people. I want to help people change the way that they see themselves. I want to help people love themselves. I want to help people have the tools that it takes in order to navigate this existence called humanity, called life. You are a human being. As a human being, you are meant to have struggle. Yet so often we run from struggle. You are meant to have joy. Yet so often we feel guilty for having joy. One of the interesting dynamics of being a single man, and having been single quite a bit over the last 8 years of my life, I've had a lot of conversations with women, and I see a really common pattern. It makes me really sad. I think it is incredibly, incredibly difficult to be a woman. I'm not saying that because I have female listeners or because I'm trying to suck up to somebody or whatever. I really think it's challenging. It's really hard to be a man. They're both completely different dynamics with completely different challenges. And I look at what women have to deal with, and the thing that I hear so often is single mothers that say, I can't. I can't focus on myself. I can't make time for me. My children need all of my time and attention. I don't have any time to go out and date. I don't have any time for self-care. I don't. In other words, this is what I'm supposed to do. And the women that I see that are going through this, where they're sacrificing their needs for their children, first off, that's beautiful. I think it is a beautiful thing to care and love and nurture and be there for our children. But when we don't go after any of the things that we want, and we prioritize everybody else's needs ahead of our own, how much do we have to give? I look at it like an energy tank. When you focus on yourself first and you fill your wants and you don't necessarily do the things that you're supposed to do, but you do the things that you want to do, then all of a sudden that energy fills up and you have more to give everybody around you. I'm not suggesting that as a single mother that you need to go out and just disconnect for like every week and everything is about you. I'm not saying that. But I do think it would be beautiful if you can find a way in order to have 2 days to yourself where you go recharge. I do think it would be beautiful if you could find an hour here or there in order to go and focus on something that fills you up inside. And as I watch women, I have many, many friends who are female because as a single guy, I end up putting a lot of my time and effort into getting to know women. What can I say? And so I end up becoming friends with these women. And I can see all the ones that have sacrificed everything for their children. And I can see once they start adding just a little bit of priority on themselves, a little bit of self-care, I can see how their lives have switched. I can see how things start going completely different in their lives. They're at one spot where they're struggling and everything is challenging, and then they add just a little bit of self-care, some compassion, some just whatever it is that they actually need. Emotional regulation, emotional processing, allowing themselves to feel the emotions, allowing themselves to grieve. That's another thing I see a lot. Is I see a lot of women that because they're so focused on their children, they don't feel they have time in order to allow themselves to feel emotions. I have to be strong for my children. I have to be 100% there. I can't be in this sad energy. And so because of it, I don't have time in order to allow myself to grieve the relationship with my ex. I don't have time to work through all the things that I'm struggling with, the fears that I have, the insecurities that I have, the stress that I'm dealing with. And because of it, they get burnout, like just completely burnout. And I see these women when they start doing a little self-care, when they start allowing themselves to feel emotion and process through the things that they've dealt with, and they take care of them. All of a sudden things start to flow a little bit better. It doesn't mean everything all of a sudden switches. It doesn't mean everything is sunshine and rainbows and daffodils and everything is good. But when we focus on the things that we want, the things that are going to make our lives better and energize and uplift us, instead of just doing the things that we think we have to do, that we're supposed to do, that we need to do, it opens up new pathways and new experiences and a better life. How much joy are you going to have when you are pursuing the things that you want in life? And when you are joyful, how much easier is it for you to deal with hard situations? You go out, you go to work, you come home, and somebody drops a piece of really hard news in your lap. Right as you got through the door, right after a really hard day, right after you're completely exhausted, you haven't had any sleep, how easy is it to deal with that problem? You go on a vacation, you relax, you're energized, you sleep well, you have fun, you have good experiences. You get back and something hard gets dropped in your lap. How much easier is it to deal with that situation having recharged and refreshed yourself? How much easier is it to deal with something first thing in the morning if you've had a good night's rest versus later in the afternoon when you're tired and unfed and hungry? You not always doing what you're supposed to do and really doing what you are supposed to do, which is care for yourself, love yourself, energize yourself, fill yourself. Feel those emotions. When you start caring for you, you can handle the conflicts and the challenges of life that much better. You have more joy because you can see yourself going towards things that make you joyful. It's easier to find the silver lining and the positives in each experience. I hope that you will stop telling yourself that I have to do these things. That you will find ways in order to look at and understand your wants, the things that light you up inside, and add those into your life. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that everything in life has to be about you. But maybe add just a little bit more of that into your life and see where it takes you. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And until next time, remember that you are not alone.